On August 6, 2021, I had the last known reported interview with infamous troll Isabbela Loretta Janke.
Nobody talked about you. Nobody talked about Christian. Nobody talked about anything there. That's what I'm saying.
Earlier that week, a call she had had with Chris Chan had leaked online, leading to Chris Chan's arrest and the story going mega viral online. That year, I was working as a digital culture reporter at Business Insider, covering the oddities of the internet, which included Chris Chan's arrest. While I was working to peel back the layers of the call, Isabbela tricked me, belittled me, and doxed me. After weeks of working on an article pulling back the layers of the lies, my editor decided that the story just wasn't working and killed it. So for the past 5 years, this has just been sitting in my drafts. And I decided, now that I have a YouTube channel, it's time for me to share that story. So, hello internet. Welcome to Stephen A. Sarch Talks. So we have to go back to July 29th, 2021, the day Christory was made. On a Discord dedicated to chronicling and studying each individual aspect of Chris Chan, a user named Snoo wrote that they had something big. I talked to someone who knew Chris personally. She told me he fucked his mom. I have proof. Most of the Discord was skeptical, and justifiably so. Christine has had a massive wave of trolls and people on the internet pretending to be boyfriends, employers, and even Nintendo executives. So someone saying that they have the ultimate call was met with skepticism, but their suspicion quickly turned into intrigue. 15 minutes after the first message, Snoo posted to the Discord with 3 audio clips, one of which included someone who sounded like Christine talking about having sex with their 79-year-old mother to another female voice.
But I didn't have any idea that Barbara was, that Barbara knew I had that sort of relationship. I never got any of those vibes. But how did you approach her?
Approached her with care and caution,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a time approach. So I just gave her comfort and talked with her, and we just branched out slow and steady. And then I encouraged her positively, let her make the first move.
The commenters were left stunned. Please tell me this is a lie. You're lying, this is fake. I don't believe it. I really hope one day we're in the documentary being the first people to react to this godforsaken clip. Hi guys. I know it's not a traditional documentary, but I hope you will settle for a guy making a YouTube video. The conversation was soon posted to Kiwi Farms and YouTube and spread like a virus online, going viral on social media within hours. Chris Chan started trending on Twitter, and soon even normies were starting to question, what's going on here? On August 1st, just days after the call with Christine leaked online, Christine was arrested while she was at a motel in Henrico, Virginia. The arrest was captured live. Many people online, including myself, were glued to our phones, wondering what the next wild part of this saga was going to be. Over the past decade, I have had an obsession with studying and analyzing lolcows. These are individuals who are used and mocked by their audiences, being prodded for lulz and attention. They are often neurodivergent or quirky, with a personality trait that can make them easily hated. I've spent time and studied some of the most infamous lolcows. I spent multiple days hanging out and drinking with World of T-shirts.
I wouldn't say I'm an alcoholic, but I definitely have an issue.
I spoke to Boogie2988 for over 2 hours, and a few years back, I worked on a controversial docuseries about Onision, which I will probably be talking about on this channel one day. But Chris Chan has always been my most sacred of lolcows. I don't go as far back as the Something Awful forums in the early 2000s, when Christine was walking around with a sign looking for a boyfriend-free girl, and people were just finding out about her Sonichu cartoons. I became fascinated with her in the 2010s, watching video essay after video essay, discussing each individual aspect of the wild lore that Christine posted herself to the internet. I've reached out to interview her about a half dozen times and have never got any success. Christine, if you're watching this, I would still love to talk to you. I even purchased a Sonichu medallion, but just so you guys know, it doesn't have the curse that most Sonichu medallions have, because this is a replica made by a fan that worked with Christine that I bought for $25. I believe if it was handcrafted, it would have that magic that might end up ruining my life. Years ago, I remember showing my editors at Newsweek some of my favorite pieces of Christery. The Afro Ninja animation, the original boyfriend-free girl sign, and lore videos from YouTube channel Gibby's Lore Cattle Ranch, who I knew I had to interview for this video.
I've been covering Chris Chan for 7 to 8 years on my channel Gibby's Lore Cattle Ranch. I had a bit of a strange introduction to Chris in that I discovered him through Sonichu. I didn't hear this story about this, all this lore about this bullied autistic guy from the 2000s. I learned about Sonichu and started reading it, and Sonichu becomes completely incoherent after, 5 seconds if you don't know the life story of Chris Chan. So I started looking into that, and, a lot of the focus on Chris's story is really about the 2005 to 2011 era of documenting him and all the trolls and all the Sonichu and things like that. And so to learn the basics of that, and then to go on Twitter and one day see modern, at the time, 2017, 2018 Chris tweeting about the dimensional merge and Sonichu being real and him being trans now was like this what happened here? I feel like I skipped, 10 seasons in a TV show.
While I was at Business Insider in 2021, I was essentially their eccentric personality person. I covered TikTok cults, animated SFW trends, and any oddity that appeared on your FYP. When I saw all of the conversation around Chris Chan, I knew it was something that I had to cover, but it was a harder sell to my editor, who didn't really understand what the story was. To him, it just kind of seemed like bullying this person that got arrested. But to me, who had spent years kind of examining and piecing together pieces of the lore, I knew that there were individuals online who were desperately looking for some form of journalist to kind of look into this story. Just not Tucker Carlson, who took my reporting to push his really shitty transphobic angle on the situation. Online in these spaces, video essayists can tend to be a little loose when it comes to factual accuracy, and I wanted to create a place where people could actually find the information they were looking for from a journalist. When I first approached my editor, who we'll call C, with the story, it was a bit of a hard sell. He didn't really understand why it was an important story or why anybody would care. But eventually, after a few minutes, maybe even hours of negotiating, I got the green light and wrote the first story about Christine's arrest for Business Insider. I was one of the first mainstream journalists to write about Christine's arrest, and that story did insanely well. It was one of the top stories on all of Business Insider. I remember the bosses being really confused as to who this person was and why so many people were interested in their arrest. But the clicks didn't lie, and my editor knew that this was a great opportunity to keep things going. So I kept reporting on Christine. I wrote when she was put in a male jail. I interviewed her lawyer, and I even interviewed Gino Samuel, the person behind the 85-part comprehensive history of Chris Chan. But while I was writing all of these pieces, I was still chasing the biggest story. Who recorded the call and how did it leak online? Even if Christine hadn't been arrested, I think getting a straight answer from her might have been difficult. She had been talking about a dimensional merge where cartoon characters would break out into the real world. I found the Twitter account that posted the audio leaks before anyone else, and I reached out to them. The persons behind the account, Mark and Luis, I've heard Luis and Louis, but I'm gonna go with Luis. They told me that they knew who leaked the call and asked if I wanted to speak to their ringleader, Bella. So on August 1st, I started messaging Bella on Signal. She refused to call at first. She instead decided to spin a tale that she was a 26-year-old who worked at the Baltimore Sun and her name was Billy Lewis. Bella was just a nickname Christine had given her since they were good friends after meeting at a brony convention a few years prior. I tried to ask for any confirmation, like an ID, but she always refused. She said it was too much. Bella said that she was rarely online and Christine would get annoying, but she was a character that was harmless. Bella would regularly chat with Christine, goading her for private information for their amusement. On that infamous call, Bella said she used a voice changer and wasn't even planning on recording the call. It wasn't until Christine started talking about her interactions with Barbara that she pulled in her friend, who decided we need to record this. And the call changed their opinion on Christine, who is now Gross, disgusting, and putrid. I wanted to bleach my ears in the call, but I had to be nice, so she would continue talking about it without hesitation. Bella wanted me to focus on anyone but her. She pointed me towards the Sutress, a devoted Chris Chan fan who she had shared the call with. In her eyes, the Sutress was such a big fan that there would be no way that she would leak the call on the internet, but Gibby has a different theory.
There was always the question of motivation, right? Which is like, why would Bella release this and then try to hide her identity? And the answer is just the crazy coincidence that she shared it with the Sutress, because she had a crush on the Sutress, and the Sutress is then the one who leaked it to this wider Chris Chan fan club, and then they're the ones who leaked it to the wider internet. So, like, Bella could have held on to this and done something with it, maybe, like, blackmailed Chris, but she trusted the Sutress, and then the Sutress is the one who leaked it to the internet. So Bella just made all of these stupid mistakes and then made it worse for herself.
Bella had been messaging other YouTubers, including Gibby and Gino Samuel. Bella had asked Gino to communicate before he had posted the part of the comprehensive history that included her. Instead, he did this.
On August 2nd, the supposed Bella emailed Gino Samuel regarding her eventual appearance in the documentary series. Gino replied that he could not reply as he was currently on sabbatical from the documentary until February 2022, instead suggesting that she contact Quick-centric YouTuber Gibby for a more fruitful discussion.
When Gibby was talking to Bella, he was told an entirely different BS story.
Basically, the narrative at the time was that the Kiwi Farms were really close to doxing the girl whose voice was on the audio, and Bella did not want that to happen. And so that's why she was coming up with all these narratives to try to make her real identity not part of the story. She didn't want to be doxxed. And so she created this persona of someone whose name was also Bella. And the story she told me was, she's like, hey, I'm Bella. I'm not the person on the audio. That's my other friend. So while the Kiwi Farms is going after Bella, that's not the person they're really looking for. Please, don't dox me. I'm not involved. That's generally the story that she was trying to claim to me. She had this fake ID that I know that she sent you because we talked about this.
Bella also gave me the number of Simoes, who they claimed was in the incest call as well. They recorded the call with their tablet and sent the call to Bella and as an anonymous tip to the Greene County Police Sheriff. Simoes had no problem sharing their ID, as well as a photo they claim they took of Christine at a convention. I immediately sniffed out both their backstories as bullshit. There's no way a journalist working for the Baltimore Sun, or any outlet for that matter, would have a call that claimed incest, illegal incest, was happening, and they would just, have it leaked on the internet. And that image that was sent to me by Simoes was actually from HarmonyCon 2015 and had been posted online years prior. On August 4th, I called out Bella, saying, I know you aren't a 26-year-old dude, but in order to trust you and share where the call came from, I need what happened. Suddenly, Bella's story changed again. She had seen Christine at a Rubik's Cube convention years prior, and then had started watching video essays on Chris Chan. She shared a photo of her face obscured, which doesn't really give me exactly who this person is, but it is clearly not a 26-year-old guy named Billy Lewis. And that became even clearer I was lied to when on August 5th, 30,000 messages from Bella's Discord had leaked to Kiwi Farms. Turns out Lewis wasn't too kind on how Bella had been sharing the story behind the scenes and leaked their entire Discord to the public. Now, I have to always admit, I've been a bit skeptical of Kiwi Farms. I am in fact a woke liberal journo, and that isn't exactly a popular stereotype on the platform. And they haven't always been my biggest fans. There are quite a few posts about stories I've written about over the years. About my latest pirate software video, one person wrote, while posting an image zoomed in on my nose, I'm not saying we should totally discredit him, but he's a game journalist, and we all know what to think of them too. After I described Kiwi Farms as a forum dedicated to the harassment of online personalities in a 2024 article, one user wrote, Hey Stephen A. Sarge, we aren't all schmeo schmozzies here. Some of us are just gender-critical bitches with a low tolerance for online idiocy. But I do have to acknowledge that the platform is good at finding information, even when it is less than ethically sourced. After her original call with Christine had leaked online, Bella had spent time posting on Kiwi Farms as another account, trying to throw off their scent. But all that ended up doing was having Kiwi Farms members figure out who Bella actually was. Gibby kinda got caught up all of this, and his reporting wasn't the best, and Kiwi Farms wasn't a fan.
So this person from my server was friends with the Sutress, and the Sutress had mentioned their friend Bella a couple times. Offhand, over the months that these people knew each other. So the person on my server was like, I remember the Sutress told me her name, that this person was talking to Chris Chan, and that's definitely the person in the recording, but I just can't remember what their name is. I can't remember the name Bella. Kiwi Farms thought that Bella's name was Kelly. And so my fan was like, I don't remember the name. I'd remember it if I saw it, but I know it's not Kelly. So on my channel, with my coverage of the topic, I'm like, guys, the girl in the recording, her name's not Kelly. Kiwi Farms is getting it wrong. Kiwi Farms didn't like that. They didn't like that I was disagreeing with them. I was protecting my source, my subscriber. I believe they were a minor at the time, and they didn't want to be involved in the situation. So Kiwi Farms people were coming to me saying, where did you get this info? What's your source? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I got to protect their anonymity. They didn't want to be known. They didn't want any of this stuff to come out. So I can't tell you my source. And also, I don't actually know Bella's name. I just, I'm trusting this person. I know it's not Kelly. I ended up being half right. Kiwi Farms ended up being half right because the Kelly Osbourne accounts were Bella, but it was a fake name. So I was right in that Bella's name isn't Kelly, and they were right in that the Kelly Osbourne accounts did belong to Bella.
Bella had posted under an alt account on Kiwi Farms, throwing the blame towards the Sutress and Luis, trying to throw off their scent. Users were able to follow the breadcrumbs the account had left behind, and were able to prove that Bella was in fact Isabbela Loretta Janke, a college student in Texas. Luis, angry at how things had turned out, leaked their entire chess club Discord. Now, I am not getting into the grotesque and truly awful details that exist in this Discord, but I will let Gibby explain some of them to you. Viewer discretion is advised.
Yeah, so her Discord server, the chess club is leaked. There was a channel that had Chris involved. So, Chris would go in there and talk to them, and they'd all, just chit-chat. And then there was another channel that Chris wasn't in. And this is where Bella was talking to all of her friends. And again, sharing dark jokes. But it was stuff like she had, a young puppy at her house, and the dog pooped all over the floor, and Bella didn't clean it up. And the dog would, walk in it and get, the poop between its paws. And she's like, oh, I hope it gets an infection so we can cut off its feet. She talked about, I drowned one of my hamsters in a pot of water. I microwaved my hamster. And, who knows how true literally any of that is, but, who cares at this point?
I did ask Bella about the boiled hamster, but she said the claim was insane. Instead, I want to focus on how I end up in the leak. Just so you know, NP2348 is Bella, and Luis is Luis. Some guy is messaging me now. His name is Stephen Arsh. Luis wrote, I've had my last name Asarch mispronounced a whole lot of ways, but that was a new one. Give me his info then, Bella responds. They had come up with this plan to create a fake name together. I was going to tell the recorder my name was Goober Jernadick, He's a famous diversity journalist, apparently. I learned that Samo's was actually Mark, and the three had coordinated behind the scenes in an attempt to troll me. The Samo's ID was real, but it was of someone who wasn't involved in the story at all. I even reached out to the family members of Samo's to try and figure out what was going on. The only one I managed to get into contact with was their grandmother, who screamed at me over the phone and told me I was crazy. The Discord log completely seemed legitimate. The timing of their responses matched up with our conversation. My name is in there, and my source-only phone number is in the call, which doxed me. I don't really mind because it's not my real number, but getting doxed always sucks. On August 6th, I asked Bella about the leaked Discord messages and asked if they were real. She denied it entirely. LOL, just looked at it, no clue what this is or even what that convo is from. She kept claiming that all the Discord logs were fake, and I'd be silly to even think that they were real. But that made no sense to me, because how could my name and my number appear in them if the Discord logs were fake? I know I am a person on the internet, but I am not nearly popular enough to end up in a massive Chris Chan Discord leak, though it does flatter me. So finally, after days of trying to get Bella on a call, I finally succeeded, and we spoke for about 17 minutes.
Why? What's going on?
So the chess club Discord server, basically all of the conversation that was in it was leaked. And
I saw those screenshots. No, those aren't real. That's not even my Discord name.
well,
Those are leaked by an ex of mine.
so I'm gonna try and disprove that because I don't believe you. My name shows up. So
You weren't in the Discord server. I was never
So-
in the Discord server with you.
this is what happened. When I messaged Luis on Twitter, he went to the Discord and asked if you wanted to talk.
Right?
He then posted my Google Voice number.
Yeah.
So
Well, he didn't give it. He didn't give it to me on Discord. He texted it to me. But again, it sounds like it looks like he just edited something and just took a screenshot of something and then edited my my actual Texas Tech Discord link for. It's completely official for the actual club. Oh, that's it. That's not even my personal one. I wouldn't be chatting friendly like, oh hey guys, do you know Chris Chan? I stole money from him. How would I even do that? It doesn't make any sense.
I really recommend you at least taking a look at what Kiwi Farms has.
I did. Well, I looked at the thing and it was complete. It's nonsense.
Listening back on this call for the first time in years, I can clearly see that Bella is just lying to me and gaslighting me.
Nobody talked about you. Nobody talked about Christian. Nobody talked about anything there. That's what I'm saying. It's not hard to edit Discord stuff. I just thought of every bad thing they could put together and just put in a sentence to pin on me, and that's kind of what's going on. But again, they don't really have many correct information. I mean, I'm sorry that you got doxxed. I feel bad, but again, that wasn't me.
She had created this whole narrative that it was actually her bitter ex-girlfriend who had created the Discord and lied about everything. But I interviewed that ex-girlfriend who asked not to be included in this video, so I won't be. She shared that Bella was actually obsessed with Christine and would host watch parties at Luis's place to watch the Chris Chan Comprehensive History with Gino Samuel. I guess that makes a bit of sense why she reached out to him, because she knew she was going to be featured and she just wanted to make sure that she was the star. When I called her out for that hypocrisy, I was basically back where I started. In order to publish the article, my editor told me that I needed to prove that Bella was Isabbela without a shadow of a doubt. And to me, I had enough. But to him, I needed to have a confession. And Bella just wasn't gonna give that to me. I had proof that the Discord was real, thanks to the timestamps. I had proof that Bella was the woman whose picture was appearing in Kiwi Farms, because the picture she sent lined up to that. But that just wasn't enough yet. And Bella wasn't going to make that easy. She continued to deny that she was Isabbela Janke, calling all of these claims complete BS. That's insane. Honestly, I don't care anymore. The investigators know it's not true, and there's no point in even watching this train wreck anymore. I'm done. August 7th was the last day we spoke. She theorized about getting a lawyer to go after the people making claims about her, including Gibby, always denying that she had ever been in the server. She shared a Google Doc statement, which has since been deleted and proven to be full of factual inaccuracies. But after a few more messages, Bella ghosted me. I asked one final time for comment on the story, and I never got an answer. I wrote an entire article based off of the information I had obtained and included the lengths to which Bella went to try to lie to me. But my editor just didn't think it was a good story, and we didn't end up publishing it. I've had plenty of stories killed over the years, including my in-depth look into World of T-shirts. Let me know if you want to know about that. But this one has always bothered me more than the rest. I'm still bitter about this one. In a comment my editor left that I've saved for all these years, they wrote, "I feel right now the entire piece is way too confusing, and I'm not sure all the info is entirely necessary, and it might be worth stripping it down to the bare bones of what our reporting can contribute, rather than the entire retelling. In an article, you only have so many words, and you have an editor whose opinion is going to dictate what gets told. But here, I am the editor, and I get to share absolutely everything. And I think you guys kind of want to know." As for Christine, she spent 2 years in prison and a mental facility, and her charges were eventually dropped because the only evidence of wrongdoing was Bella's call, and from what I understand, Bella was uncooperative with the police. Christine also talked about Isabbela in a video discussing the accusations and her denying them.
Bella was the real sex criminal in that. She really wanted to try to get me in something. She's the real criminal. Fucking bitch! Calling her out! Call her out! Isabbela Janke. She's the real sex criminal, period. She did a whole mess of adulteration and manipulation and things in her own words and attitude, insinuations and everything. Okay?
To this day, I'm convinced that Christine had created a fantasy in their head, and none of the claims are actually correct. It was an unfortunate series of events where trolls manipulated Christine to get content. But the story grew larger than them, snowballing into a massive viral phenomena that eventually overtook them and caused Isabbela to vanish from the internet. But many like Gibby disagree.
Who was the mastermind, and also who knew what when? To this day, because I still cover Chris, and so I still get comments about this, there are people who think that Bella convinced Chris to start sleeping with Barb, or trolled Chris into doing it, or that the whole thing was a lie and she trolled Chris into admitting it on tape and it never really happened, but the phone call was real, but Chris never actually slept with Barb. And that's just not true. And you can tell this from the Discord logs, because the fact is that the call that Chris and Bella had was Chris admitting that she slept with Barb. Why would she have to admit that to Bella on call if Bella had convinced her to do it? That doesn't make any sense. And the day that the recording was made, we have logs of Bella talking to her friends like Mark and Louise and telling them, oh my god, I just got off the call with Chris, this crazy thing happened. So we have these logs of Bella reacting almost in real time to learning the information. Therefore, we know that the information was novel to Bella when the call happened. So the narrative that she convinced Chris to do it, or that she was involved in any way beyond being the person Chris told, is just completely false. And so I think that definitely helped shape the story and remove a lot of the guesswork that was happening at the time. My first video on the topic, I was like, guys, I don't think that this really happened. I think that Chris was, seeing into C-197 and, just dreamed that she slept with Barb and that Sonichu was there. I was in complete denial. But this really helped solidify that at least that part of the recording was genuine and that there were no trolls or coercion involved.
Christine also still uses an intro from Isabbela. I'm still not sure why. Christine is still posting, reading stories on YouTube, and posting on X about how she is in a redemption arc. Other than a recent expulsion from a convention, the drama around Chris Chan has been quite minimal. I'm still bothered by this story because it has no conclusion. Isabbela essentially disappeared from the internet, and nobody knows what happened to her. Even her Kiwi Farms thread hasn't been updated in years. She just seemed to disappear from the internet and get away with it, which still makes me feel kind of bad. I don't think people should be able to manipulate, lie, and basically control an entire media narrative, and for all of us to just be like, okay, guess she's gone now. I don't like being lied to, manipulated, and especially doxxed. This story is something that I've just been sort of sitting on and never been able to tell, and I'm hoping that me making this video gives me a bit of closure. Chris Chan is a fascinating individual, and the lolcows that exist online aren't going anywhere. Basically, we are hungrier than ever for lolcow content, and we're just going to keep seeing new individuals pop up to be manipulated and tormented by an audience that craves that type of content. But thankfully, now that I've gotten it out in a YouTube video, I should be able to breathe a bit easier. Unless this video causes Isabbela Janke to appear from the shadows to strike me down, in which case, let Jesus Christ Chan Sonichu Prime have mercy on my soul. Thank you for watching.